All right, we are almost ready to do our initial torque on our hub bolt, but before I did that, I want to make sure that I was pinned. I wasn't pinned in the back, so what I went ahead and did is that I rotated the crankshaft until, you can take a look in the back there, until I was pinned into the hole. You can see I'm pinned into the hole. So crankshaft is locked atop that center, and camshafts are locked with the jig, the alignment jig. So theoretically I'm on time right now. So next thing that I wanted to do was to put my crankshaft holding tool here, and I want to make sure that I was chacked or securely up against the chassis rail right here. So when I torque this, this is going to be my holding point so my crank don't rotate, so I can torque the bolt. So this is this tool here. Put it on with the 3 screws. That's tight, and I'm tight right up against there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do our initial 100 foot-pound torque. Then we are going to mark the head to the cub, and we're going to go 270 degrees. Okay, 100 Newton meters. All right, you guys can see here that I have marked my bolt and I've marked my crankshaft holder. That's a visual indication that once we torque 270 degrees, we should probably be right about somewhere here or so. This should come all the way back to about here. I'm going to use the torque wrench with my angle torque for starting my angle. I'll see how far I can get, because this torque wrench max out at maybe 500 Newton meters or 480, somewhere around there, and I'm not going to go beyond that. After that, I'm going to use the bigger 3/4 inch bob here to finish the angle torque. Okay. Alright guys, so got as far as I could with the torque wrench. Now I've got the big 3/4 drive, I call that bob, but it's very difficult, one person trying to leverage and torque 270 degrees. Right now I think I'm right about maybe 170. Gotta go 100 more degrees. So I position my torque wrench, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to just step on it, put my weight here and try to keep torquing this here. Okay, so alright guys, so we got the crank hub bolt torque, 100 Newton meters plus 270 degrees. You guys can take a look there. It's a little past 270, maybe 5 degrees, but I prefer to have a little over due to bending and engine moving and so forth. So I always like to have about a 5 or 10 degrees over. So this is good to go. So next we're gonna so this is torque now, so we're gonna go ahead and tighten up the bottom end here, all the bolts for the chain module, the oil pump, vacuum pump, and then I am going to tighten up my camshafts and do my timing. Once I do that, we'll rotate it, see how everything looks. Okay. Alright guys, so let's continue with the timing of the engine. We've got our timing jig, which we never took off. We've installed these bolts hand tight with the adjusters. I've installed my chain adjuster, my timing chain adjuster mechanism from the timing toolkit that once I installed it, I've tightened it to maybe 1 Newton meter just to duplicate the chain tension. Now we are going to start to set up our timing of these here. Got our timing jig here. Let's set that up. Alright, so we've aligned the front impulse wheels timing jig, and we can see the knob inside the jig is aligned with the impulse wheel. So the impulse wheel is locked into the correct position that senses the rotation of the camshaft, and it's locked into this one. So this basically sets the impulse wheel to its correct position. Now we're going to go ahead and torque these bolts, but I do it a little different. So it calls for, these bolts calls for 20 Newton meter plus 180 degrees. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to torque it to 20 Newton meters, then I'm going to go 90 degrees, remove the jig, I'm going to rotate the engine a couple times, then I am going to put on my timing adjuster, the tensioner on the side here, bring it back on timing, and then I'm going to check my timing, and if everything's good, I'm going to go another 90 degrees. That's just the way that I do it. Don't have to do it like that, but I found that I've had very good luck with that. So let's get to it. All right, guys, a little status update here. We have torqued the guide rail for the chain guide. That's been torqued. Kind of put a green marker on there so I know that's done. We've torqued the vacuum pump bolt. That's 66 to 70 Newton meters. That's torqued. I've also torqued the triangle chain module into the oil pump and into the block. That was done. That's been marked. Also torqued the oil pump nut. You guys saw that. You can slow it down and take a look at that, but that's been torqued. So we've rotated this engine many times, maybe 10-15 times. So I've pinned the flywheel to its correct position, and now we are setting. We've got our camshaft with the barcode up, and now we're setting our timing jig back down to make sure we are still in alignment, which we are. We're going to secure this back, and we're going to torque up our bolt here another 90 degrees to make it 180. See, that lines up beautiful there. Okay. No gaps. Tool is flush with the cylinder head surface. Flush here. So we're right on time. We're going to torque this another 90 degrees. Alright, guys, we are at the point for our front main seal installation. We can install our front main seal, brand new seal. Okay. First thing we are going to do, we are going to slide this onto here. Okay, that's on there. Gonna lubricate, get some oil around here. Alright, front main seal is installed. Next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna get the oil pan on here. Okay. So right now we're gonna go ahead and install the oil pan, but before I do that, off camera I went ahead and rotated the crankshaft multiple times and inspected inside here, make sure everything was traveling true and aligned and nothing was misaligned that you know, that could be an issue. Everything looks good. So right now we are gonna go ahead and close this oil pan up, okay? All right, so we've gotten the oil pan on and we've gone ahead and torqued the bolts. So oil pan, all bolts are initially 8 Newton meters, and the short ones that you see here, those are 8 Newton meters plus 90 degrees. So originally I had my visual marking vertically up, and now I've got a visualization that they are horizontal. So I've got a visual confirmation that I've torqued my 90 degrees. The longer bolts, now one thing I want to notice, this particular bolt right here, it's not short or long, it's kind of bit in the middle, and the oil pan bolt set did not come with that correct length. So I took a long one, I got extra long ones, and I cut it down and put that in, so just be aware of that. The longer bolts, which you see here, it's 8 Newton meters plus 180. So I just went ahead and marked on the oil pan because your starting point is your ending point. So visually, if you look at it, you're really no change. So after I torque it 180, I just made a mark of 180 degrees, so I know that's done. Because you see, it's all here. The long ones here are all 180 degrees, so I made a mark. One thing to be noticed, just be careful torquing these, because if you snap these, you got to take the oil pan back off. So I use an angle torque wrench to get my correct degrees. I didn't over or under, just to be exact. Okay, so that's the oil pan. We will continue for the reassembly. Okay, all right, you guys recall we put on the oil pan and torqued it. So that's as much as we're gonna do on the bottom here. As far as the bottom here, I'm gonna put on the lower suspension cradle assembly on some jack stands and some jacks. I'm gonna hook up the power steering here, and I think that's pretty much it. Hook up the power steering so I can run the engine without putting the full cradle up. Run it, get it warm, make sure everything runs good, there's no problems. So if I have to do any drop it. I don't have to remove the entire cradle back again. I can just remove the one line, remove the cradle, and get to the oil pan if I need to. You guys can see we've fully assembled the top. Belt is on, pulley is on, all the pulleys. I did not document that because those are pretty simple for you guys to do. Just get the pulleys on, get the belt on, get the valve cover on, new gasket, charge pipe, air intake, coil wiring, injector wiring, and so forth, and connect. So everything's buttoned up on top. I replaced the filter, put a new filter, just put new liquid moly oil. You guys want to take a look at this here? Look at this filter. You can see all the metal on the outside, right? It's all the metal from the chain module assembly. Goes to show how much of a filter your filter does. Wow, look at this here. Oh, you can see the metal in the oil right there. So pretty certain the filter captured anything, because I really can't see any type of a debris or metal on the inside. I'm gonna open this up, but I'll take a look and see what that looks like.